I know what you're thinking. This isn't zombies. I know it's not zombies. I wanted to do something a little bit different for this video. So instead of doing all zombies all the time, I want to kind of change it up a bit. So every now and again, it's just kind of different content just to keep it, you know, fresh instead of always being zombies and it'll get boring really quick. But today I want to talk about VR gaming and why I believe personally it has the potential to be much better than traditional gaming, depending on how you look at it, right? VR gaming is a new kind of concept to me because I've only just been able to get a PlayStation VR like about 3 years after it came out. I want to talk about it under a couple of headings. I'm going to go through each one bit by bit just to give you an idea so that if you are thinking about doing it, you can take all this stuff into consideration. The first thing I want to talk about is the visuals. What you're seeing on screen now is Beat Saber, one of the more popular games for the VR gaming experience. What you're seeing on screen does not compare in the slightest to what you actually see inside the VR headset. Within the headset, it is much more detailed. It just looks better than the screen. When you play it within the headset, then you watch the footage back, it's night and day. The difference is completely out there. It's insane how much it is. It's insane how different it is to what you see on the screen in front of you right now. Like, it's very different. I will say that that's a huge thing for it. Like, it's a huge appeal to it. But yeah, so visuals, the games look amazing. In terms of playing traditional games versus VR, there's one brilliant example, and that's Resident Evil 7. Playing that normally and playing that in VR, it's like playing two completely different games. They are completely different. Graphics wise, VR is much better. More detail on little things, whereas on the traditional version of it, it's kind of just, you know, it's your run-of-the-mill Resident Evil, everything's kind of spooky, wow, whatever, you know. In the VR headset, it's like, oh shit, this shit's actually, it looks like it's within touching distance. It's fucking insane. Next thing I want to talk about is the controls. You can play VR in two ways. You can play with the standard DualShock 4 controller, or you can play with the PlayStation Move controllers. If you're on the Oculus Rift, it's a little bit different. There's controllers for that. I don't know what they're called, but the PlayStation ones are called Move controllers. Using the Move controllers, it gives you a much better sense of immersion within the game, that you can spread out your arms and your in-game character or whatever will spread out their arms as well in order to replicate your movements on screen, hence why the camera is needed. But for games like Beat Saber, calibration is a problem because you have to make sure everything is done down to a T. It can't just be kind of thrown together and say, okay, here you go, boom. It takes a while to actually get the camera settings right. Like for Beat Saber, they recommend that you tilt the camera down slightly, which I do because it does help when you're crouching down under certain walls that come over your head. You have to duck down, and if it loses tracking on the Move controllers, what happens is they drift off and they can end up hitting notes and causing you to fail. Going back to Resident Evil 7, when you play Resident Evil 7, you use the standard DualShock 4 controller. Yeah, you can't move your hands around and everything, but from within the headset, everything is like right in front of you, so it gives you that kind of like, oh god, I have to be quick now when I'm reacting to this stuff, otherwise it might cause a problem. The biggest difference in VR gaming is the style of gameplay. It doesn't play like a traditional game would. For example, you can play games like Guitar Hero, which are rhythm-based games. Then you can play Beat Saber, which is a rhythm-based game, but the way they play and their style of gameplay is completely different from each other. They're the same style of game, but they're played in two completely different ways. In Beat Saber, you're actually moving your arm so you can hit the notes in time with the music. Whereas in Guitar Hero, you're pressing buttons and strumming a strum bar. It's two different styles of gameplay, but it's the same kind of game in general. I don't mean that Beat Saber is exactly like Guitar Hero in which you're pressing specific buttons and that. In Beat Saber, you're actually doing physical movements in order to hit what you want to hit. And then when you don't want to hit something, you have to keep your hands still or keep them away from whatever's passing you by, like the bombs. In Guitar Hero, you didn't really have that. You just had to hit all your notes. If you missed too many notes, you failed. Same applies in this. However, in this, there's more hazards because of the style of gameplay. You can actually do more physically. You can actually stay under stuff. You can move left and right, which means you can avoid all the shit that's coming at you. And it just makes the game so much better. One thing VR games try to do, and they do it very well when it works, is immersion. They try to immerse you in this huge world or in a tight confined area. And in specific games, for example, Beat Saber, you play in a very set out area. That's your kind of gameplay space. You have to stay within that area to move. With Resident Evil, yes, you're using a controller, but you have an entire world to explore, like the house that you're in for most part of it, and probably throughout the game. I never finished the game, but throughout other levels as well, I'm sure it looks just as good. Another game that immerses you in the world and properly immerses you in it, and I love how it does it, is actually a game that you get for free if you get like the 5-game bundle with the VR headset, and that's Astrobot Rescue Mission. Anyone that doesn't have it that has a VR headset, I would highly recommend you check it out because it is really fun. It's a really good game. I thoroughly enjoyed the little bit of time I spent playing it. I only finished a couple of the levels, but from what I was playing, it's really fun. I will definitely go back and finish it because it is so much fun. And hey, if you want to see a playthrough of it on the channel, let us know in the comments below and I might just make it happen. The last thing I want to talk about is it's the real kicker for VR headsets, and it's the price. They are expensive. There is no if and or but about it. You can get the cheaper ones that don't really do the same thing. Like, I know a lot of people were getting the ones for their phones, like the empty casing that you put your phone in. Honestly, that will never compare to an actual proper VR headset. Now, that's obvious, but I mean, there's another one that as well, it's from Oculus. It's like their cheapest one that people recommend you get it as a beginner who've like, you've never played VR games and you want to get into it. This is one for you because there's no PC required or anything, but it's very limited in what it can do. Whereas say you have the Oculus version 2, which is like the newer generation of models, or the PlayStation VR headsets, there is so much more you can do, and the Oculus can go even further than the PlayStation because it's only limited by the PC that it's on and by what you can get for it. The more you can get more on PC for the Oculus than you can for the PlayStation for the VR headsets for that, but that's obvious. For the PlayStation one, I can tell from personal experience, they're kind of messy to set up. There's a lot of cable work that goes into it. There's another power box that comes from the whole thing. There's like a junction box between the PlayStation and the TV. You have to connect the VR headset through that so that it gets the gameplay from the console and through to the TV, but also through to the headset at the same time. And when you're recording it, like as for this, I messed this up I don't know how many times. I actually had to put in my other graphics card. I have the one that's in now to help me record this footage was a stronger graphics card than the one I traditionally use. I had to use that to record the footage because for some reason the Elgato just does not want to record VR footage, despite the fact it has all the ability to do it. When it does record it, it looks pretty good, is what you can see here. However, if you're ever at a gaming convention, if you're ever at a friend's house and someone owns a VR headset and it's a proper one, try it out if they'll let you. Because holy shit, the difference that you will have in playing games while playing in VR is night and day difference to playing them on a traditional console. People that have tried out my headset have even said it's a completely different style of gameplay, and it's so much fun. It's more fun than traditional gameplay, and that's really good. You know, it's good to hear that the VR headsets go over well. They always have, because it's kind of like, oh wow, it's virtual reality. It's like, you know, you're in another world almost. For the prices of them, they are worth it. For like the PlayStation VR is about €300 from where I am, but it varies depending on where you are. They go for about 250 to €300 depending on the bundle you get. Like for example, I got the bundle with the 5 games for 300, so it wasn't too bad. But you can get them on its own standalone edition with no games for about 250, I think. Don't quote me on that, could be totally wrong. However, if you have a bit of disposable income and you have a PS4 and you're looking for something to buy to just entertain yourself, honestly, VR is the way to go. Yes, it's expensive, but the games you can get for it are night and day better than a lot of the games you can get just for traditional gameplay. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think, and let me know if you're considering getting your own VR headset in the future. Make sure to let me know as well if you want me to play Astrobot Rescue Mission, because even though it's like a Sony exclusive game for VR, it is very fun. I will admit it is very enjoyable to play through. Like it's cute with the little characters and shit. It's pretty fun, I will admit. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did. It really helps me out when people find the channel for the first time. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications of when I upload. Thank you all for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.